So I don't know what lies you're dragging around your life, what things that you're believing that are affecting you from becoming the person God's designed you to be. But here are a few lies that we might carry around. You know, that I'm a loner, that I'm weak, that I'm worthless, that I'm stupid, that I'm dirty, that I'm pathetic, that I'm weird, that I'm a cheater, annoying, liar, fat, gross, a joke, useless, empty, skinny, alone. The truth is, you are God's masterpiece. You are a child of God. You are loved. You are part of God's family. You are healed. You are holy. You belong. You are rescued. You're cherished. You're priceless. You're rooted in Him. You're protected by Him. You're saved. You're transformed. You're freed. You are the salt of the earth. You're chosen. You're grace-filled. And God is with you, and He has redeemed you. You are known by Him. You are whole. He will never leave you or forsake you. And that's the truth. My name is Danny Ray. In this series, we're going to look at the lies we believe and how these lies hinder us from becoming the person God designed us to be. So hi, my name's Danny.
And I'm Caroline.
Apparently this is Caroline. We're doing a 4-part series called Deception, and this one's called Alone. And the idea is that what?
You feel alone.
Yes, that is the idea, as you feel alone. Do you feel alone right now?
I would rather not say. No comment.
I am with you. I am with you. So this 4-part series on deception is about the lies that we believe, and they hinder us from becoming the people that God wants us to be. That fly was attacking you. That fly's from below, not from above. So, do you feel alone? Do you want to be alone?
I feel like that fly feels alone.
What's the difference between being alone and feeling alone? Ooh, deep questions.
Deep questions.
I hope you cuts that part out. Okay.
I think being alone is a physical process where you can be surrounded by as much loving people and just this whole amazing atmosphere, but you can mentally feel alone just because of all the different things you're going through and not feeling connected with others.
That's really good. So Satan's goal is to isolate us, to make us feel alone. The enemy's strategy is to make you feel like you are the only one who has ever suffered in this way, that nobody could understand what you're going through. Nobody could understand your hurt, your pain, your loneliness. He wants to isolate you completely. So for this one, I'm going to open up a brand new deck of cards. Here's what we need. We don't need these. Nobody needs those. We don't need the jokers. But we do need, if you're not familiar with the deck of cards, when it's opened up, it's in perfect order, right? So we have, these cards are in perfect order, and then I'm going to let's grab the clubs for this. This will be perfect. So you can see these ones are also in perfect order. Here's what I'm going to do is, Danny, I'm actually going to have you take these. These cards are going to represent who we are, okay? And these ones are going to represent who God is. So these ones represent us, and if we're honest with who we are, with where we're at, our lives aren't all put together. So I'm going to have you take these and shuffle them up, and you could shuffle them up however you want, as much as you want, doesn't matter, okay? And here's what I'm going to have you do after you're done. That is a power shuffle right there, Danny. That is great. Okay, I'm going to have you, you know what, do you want to give them one more cut or shuffle them up anymore? Perfect. Okay, so let's take a peek at the order of these. I don't want to change the order of these, but I do want to have you select a card for me, okay? So let's have you, here, I'll just put them out like this, okay? And as I go over the cards like this, Danny, whenever you want, you say stop.
Stop.
Okay? We'll turn that one over. So here's the crazy part is these are all mixed up. I don't want to change the order, but I am going to close these. Okay, so these are there. And then these cards represent who we are. These represent who God is. And if God, you know, sometimes we're like, well, God's perfect. He can't understand where I'm at. But this is the awesome part about God, is God wants to do this, is he wants to meet us right where we're at. So no matter how like mixed up your life is, no matter how crazy things are in your life, no matter how alone you might feel, how much anxiety you might have, God meets you right here where you're at. Even if you feel like your whole life is turned around, God is for you, and he will meet you right where you are. That's what God wants to do, meet you where you're at. So thank you. So, Caroline, if I was to ask you how many combinations are possible with the Rubik's Cube. So this is 1, right? This is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, 6, 7, 8. How many do you think are possible with a Rubik's Cube?
I would guess like 43 quintillion.
Oh, get out of here.
Exactly.
You looked ahead. Yes, it is 43 quintillion. You cheated. You've learned from your father. So let me give you an idea of how big that number is. If we were to take one Rubik's Cube and then place another Rubik's Cube on top, and then another Rubik's Cube on top, and then another, and so it just keeps going up, it would go 300 light years tall. In other words, if we were traveling at the speed of light for 300 years, the speed of light is 186,000 miles per second. Per second? Yeah. So light travels around the world a little over 7, but roughly 7 times in 1 second. So again, back to this, if we were to stack these, it would go 300 light years tall. So in other words, if you and I, we got on a journey and we were taking this journey, it would take us 300 light years to reach from this end to that end.
Oh, you're on your own for that. I will wave to you from down here.
You're not coming with me on that journey?
You.
I mean, you could get some gray hair with me on the journey. It'll be fantastic.
I'm okay.
No? You're good? Yeah. Here, let's do this. You mix that up. While you're mixing that up, mix it up however you want, as much as you want. Here's the crazy part, is that even though there's 43 quintillion combinations that are possible, they're solvable. If you understand how a Rubik's Cube works, and you understand the permutations and the algorithms and the patterns, you will see what other people don't. When God looks at you, or I'm going to take this, your messed up life, and you're like, I don't understand how things are so messed up right now. Things are just a complete mess. God sees something that you don't see. God sees a way out. He sees patterns. He sees things that we couldn't possibly see. And we feel like this is an impossible challenge, but God understands our heart. He knows the way out. He knows where you're struggling. He knows everything you're going through, and he wants to show you that with him, all things are possible. Listen to his voice and let him lead you out of the darkness and into his wonderful light. So there's a story in Mark chapter 5 that I find fascinating. It starts out in chapter 4 in Jesus. He is on this side of an entire lake. So they're on this side of the water, and then way over there on the other side of the lake, there is a graveyard. There's all these tombstones, and it's the middle of the night, and the disciples get into the boat with Jesus, and they cross over to the other side. So the disciples are in the boat with Jesus. They cross the entire lake, and they see these tombstones in the middle of the night. It's like a graveyard. And I don't know if you've ever been in a graveyard. I love being in graveyards, but not at night. And especially when this happens. a crazy, naked, bloody guy comes running towards Jesus and the disciples. Now, I don't know what you would have done in that situation, but this is what Jesus does. This is what we know about this man. In Mark chapter 5, verse 3, it says, "This man lived in the tombs. No one was able to bind him anymore, not even with a chain, for he had often been chained hand and foot. But he tore the chains apart, and he broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones." So talk about a guy who was lonely, who was literally edged out of town. The other thing we know about this guy is that he's cutting himself with stones. In other words, he has so much pressure built up on the inside that he's cutting himself just to release that pressure, just to have a moment of peace. I've worked with a lot of junior high and high school students over the years. I know a lot of people that have cut themselves or have done self-harm. And I would just encourage you, if that's where you're at, if that's part of your story or you have somebody, I just want to remind you that you are not alone and that Jesus can help you through and help you out. But let's keep going in this story. The next verse says this: "So when he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and fell on his knees in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, 'What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me.' For Jesus had said to him, 'Come out of this man, you impure spirit.' Then Jesus asked him, 'What is your name?' 'My name is Legion,' he replied, 'for we are many.' And he begged Jesus again and again not to send them out of the area." See, Jesus understood who he was, and the demons understood who Jesus was. The demons were afraid that Jesus would torture them. They knew that he had the power to do just that. But instead, Jesus cast these demons into these pigs, and now you have all of these pigs that just literally jump off this cliff. Like it's suicide pigs. It's just like pigs going off the cliff. And here's what happens next. It says, "Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this in the town and the countryside. And the people went out to see what had happened." In other words, those people tending the pigs are like, our pigs, our economy just took a dive. And so they go and they report it. And then this is what happens next is when they came to Jesus, they saw a man who had been possessed by a legion of demons sitting there, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. They would have known exactly who this guy was. Remember, they had chained him, they had subdued him, they had pushed him out of town into the graveyard, right? And so they knew that this man is dressed and in his right mind. But here's what they cared more about. Listen to this. It says, "Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man and told them about the pigs as well." Here's one of the saddest verses. "Then the people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region." Here's the thing, is they cared more about their economy, more about their stuff, than the healing and the restoration of this man. What do we care more about? What do you care more about? Do you really care more about your stuff than seeing people healed or seeing people given hope, seeing people forgiven, seeing people given grace? Watch what happens. So they plead with Jesus to leave. Jesus leaves. As Jesus was getting into the boat, this man, he begs to go with Jesus. Jesus did not let him go. Instead, Jesus said, "Go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you." So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and all the people were amazed. This I love this moment. This guy, he wants to go with Jesus. Jesus says, no, you go home. You tell your family. Go home to your family. Tell them how much the Lord has done for you, how he's had mercy on you. And he does. He goes home, but he doesn't stop there. He tells the Decapolis, which are the 10 surrounding cities, what Jesus has done. He couldn't help himself. He wanted to tell everybody how Jesus had changed his life. Here's the thing that I wanted you to get. So this is why I wanted to start on this side of the lake. Check this out. So this is the crazy part. This is why I wanted to start the story here, is because it's here that it really begins, where Jesus says, look, we're gonna go over to the other side of that lake. And when he does, he doesn't heal 10 people or 50 people or 100 people. He heals one person, gets back into the boat and leaves. Think about that for a second. Jesus crossed an entire lake to heal one crazy, naked, bloody guy. Like, it doesn't even make sense, but that's Jesus. He crossed a lake to heal one person, and then he got back in the boat and he left. Jesus will cross any lake, any ocean, any universe to heal one person. I wonder if that's you tonight. If you could just be honest and just say, God, I need you to heal me. And God will come in and he will begin that transformation in your life from the inside out. Darkness can feed our depression, our loneliness, our anxiety, and we get into these things where we want to retreat into the darkness and we just begin to spiral further and further down instead of moving toward the light. And being in the light, we choose to go away. But it's not until we stop in God's presence long enough to see what he's doing. Yeah, and coming into the light, it hurts, it's painful because we begin to see our imperfections. Yes, the light reveals the imperfections, the flaws, the pain. But Jesus is the light of the world. And he will lead you out of the darkness and into his light. He will never leave you or forsake you. Yes, the light reveals the truth of our imperfections, but the light also shows us the way out.